This Thursday morning. A Seattle program combining a preschool and a nursing home together is proving a real hit, with a video of the model going viral online. It's prompting calls for similar programs to be rolled out on a wider scale. So is it something we should be doing here in New Zealand? What are the benefits for the young and the old? With me now is psychologist David Stebbing. David, thanks for coming in.
Hi.
So what they're doing here is they have literally got a preschool in Mount St Vincent in what is ostensibly an old folks' home, and it seems to be proving a real hit.
It's one of those things that I think, gee, why haven't we done something like that here before? It just sounded brilliant.
So, first of all, let's talk about for the older people. What are because this is one of the great things, is it's a win-win, isn't it? What are the benefits for older people?
Well, I think it was touched on before, and there are some fantastic things here for older people. Certainly, if you're talking about a rest home situation, dislocation is a huge part of their day-to-day lives, I think, in respect to family and children. And so for them, it's just a wonderful opportunity to be able to cover off on some of those important things that we need to keep doing, like having good relationships, like being around people that enliven us and make us feel important, and certainly about just being active.
And there have been studies done, haven't there, on degenerative diseases, mental degenerative diseases, which show that, just keeping people's minds alive, they don't even need to be talking all the time, just thinking about things, seeing, stimulating things is very good.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, there's some really specific studies around that sort of stuff. They don't quite cover this, but I think this would be incredibly relevant, and I suspect, without knowing for sure, that it would have those sort of effects.
And for the children, again, we've talked about this before, the benefits are fulsome, aren't they?
Look, particularly for kids, I mean, when you think about it, what do kids need most? They need people that are engaged with them, interested in them, and that are really present. And in an older person, those are some qualities that they have. I also think that from the point of view of the children, again, when you're talking about families often being away from, the nuclear family being away from the wider family, they don't have those opportunities to be with older folks.
And that is a real problem, isn't it now, particularly in societies like ours, because we touched on before the fact that there are still some quite, some people would describe them as old-fashioned societies, like in Central Europe, where, you have a child and the person that is expected to look after that child is the grandparent while you still go out and you work.
Absolutely, yep. And it's interesting too, my understanding is that even in those more traditional societies, that's moving away from that. And so there's, if you like, a kind of a global loss of this sort of stuff. But unfortunately for us, this has been a reality for a lot longer. And
so how do you make this work? Because you started this by saying it's extraordinary that no one's thought of this before. How do you make it work? Is it a matter of saying that essentially the companies that are designed to run old folks' homes should also be running preschools?
Well, gee, I think that's an interesting question. I mean, being able to link things up obviously is important. This particular model is about having the two together. I'm not sure that you'd have to necessarily have something that was quite that joined for it to be useful. Visits by the kids to an old people's home on a regular basis, perhaps, or I guess some of the older folks coming into the preschools. It wouldn't have
in the short term as you gradually integrate it, but certainly it's something you think we should look at?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be totally supportive of it.
Brilliant. David, thank you very much for joining us. David Stebbing, psychologist. And as I say, the home that have done it most is Mount St Vincent. It's one of about 500 intergenerational programs operating in the United States alone. Brilliant idea.